During a recent SimHanger community fly-in event, link in the notes below if you'd like to watch a replay, our conversations covered many different subjects, one of which was how immersive VR is. I also mentioned that whilst I'm a keen VR enthusiast, I don't normally do streams in VR as they can be difficult to watch, but I do from time to time make use of head tracking. So if you're not ready to make the leap into VR, or you feel VR's not for you, but crave that sense of immersion, then this video is going to be of interest to you. Tired of the fixed camera views? Want your view on screen to change as you move your head and give you a feeling of being there? Well, you can. A warm welcome back to the SimHanger. My name's Mark. Thanks for watching and let's get started. What we're talking about today is head tracking hardware and software that give you 6 degrees of freedom, or 6 DOF as it's known. What I mean by that is you can move your head in almost any direction, and utilizing a combination of a camera and sensors, that movement is tracked and translated directly into the sim. And today we're going to be taking a look at TRACKIR. How does it work? How do you set it up? And what do you get? The fact that you're watching this video means you probably watch other flight sim videos on YouTube as well. And there's one phrase that is commonly abused, and that is, yes, you know what I'm going to say, game changer. Well, head tracking may not be a game changer, but it's certainly an immersion changer. Let's take a look. We'll be digging into the details just now, but first and foremost, it's important you understand how it works and what it does. The view you're looking at now is a graphical representation, a top-down view of my head, and that's shown in the solid color. There's also an orange mesh, and that's depicting the movement of the camera. Note when I make small movements, as I am now, it's almost one-to-one. But now I'm going to move my head further to the right. Notice small movements were one-to-one. I'm now looking at about 40-45 degrees, but the camera is looking at 90 degrees. Now I'm looking at the back of the aeroplane in sim, but my head is only moved so much so that I can still see the monitor. So the amount of camera movement is directly related to the amount that I move my head, and it's not linear. Head movements are tracked through the use of a specialized camera, normally mounted on your monitor, in conjunction with passive or reflective sensors via the Dynaclip designed to fit on the front of a cap. Alternatively, there's also TRACKIR Pro. These are designed to fit on a set of headphones to provide finer resolution feedback, if desired. I purchased TRACKIR directly from Aerosoft in Germany, and I purchased it as a complete set, which includes the essentials such as the camera and also the Dynaclip for a cap. I've had a previous version, TRACKIR 3, for over 10 years, which was recently acquired by a family member, so I thought it was time for an upgrade to TRACKIR 5, which is the current version. TRACKIR, which is produced by a company called NaturalPoint, link in the notes below, provides the product in a number of different combinations, including just the camera and Dynaclip, with the Dynaclip Pro being a separate purchase, and of course you don't have to buy the cap. Any cap will do. Fitting the sensors to a cap is a fairly straightforward and quick task. If using the Dynaclip, the camera plugs straight into a USB port, and you're up and running. If you decide to go to the added expense of getting the Dynaclip Pro, then setup is equally as easy. The camera USB plugs into the female port, and the standard USB 2 goes into the computer. Dynaclip Pro is designed to attach to a set of headphones, and normally on the left-hand side. There's a simple plastic and foam clip that you face over one of the arms and just clip on. Note it is wired. I believe there is a wireless option, but I've not come across that. Visiting the NaturalPoint TRACKIR website can provide you with a whole lot more information. And of course TRACKIR is compatible with a whole host of different simulations and games. But there are a couple of points that are important and I need to mention here. Firstly, in my personal opinion, it's overpriced, and always has been, if you're to look at it just from the materials cost and what you get. And more recently, like most things, availability is a bit iffy. Secondly, Dynaclip Pro, the one that attaches to the headphone, is very delicate, and it's easy to break it. And my third and last point is shop around. prices vary considerably depending where you decide to purchase this. If on the other hand you're going to measure this in terms of the value that it gives you in sim, the increased immersion, then when it's all said and done, it's value for money. TRACKIR is not the only solution in the market, and at the end of this video we'll briefly touch on some of the other options available in the marketplace. The latest software downloads and information on compatibility with previous versions of TRACKIR, as well as manuals providing basic instruction and installation information, is also available via the website. Once you've downloaded your software, simply run the software to install, and note you must run it as administrator or it won't work properly. Once you've installed the software and set up the parameters, which we'll go through shortly, and if you're using with Microsoft Flight Simulator, note there's no config within the sim itself, no settings. TRACKIR is supported inherently within the sim for the PC version only. It just works, and works very well. When you initially start up the software, you'll be presented with a view similar to this. On the left-hand side is where you configure your TRACKIR and choose from a number of presets or configure your own. In the center screen, you've got your view indicator, as well as a gradiated axis, left and right, up and down. This is likely to be the most important view and useful view you'll use to configure your TRACKIR. On the right hand side, you've got your camera sensor indicator, shows the location of the 3 points the camera is using to track your position, as well as your head position shown in 3 different planes. As you get more familiar with the software, it will help you to configure to get it exactly as you want it. You can also change the central display from the gradiated axis to that of a head, as shown previously, and there are multiple different views available. This is the front view, there's a top-down, left view, right view, and so on. You can also change the display to show the sensor position, as a small display on the main screen can be hard to see at times. Note I'm using the TrackClip Pro. If you're using the standard TrackClip, you'd obviously want these very much central. Move your head through the various axes. If the lights go red, then you know you're losing some tracking. Back to the main display. And for me personally, Microsoft Flight Simulator is an optimal configuration. I wanted to turn my head 45 degrees and get the 90-degree angle for the camera, and turn my head roughly 80 degrees and get something around 170-180 degrees, both left and right. In addition, I wanted it to track small head movements almost one-to-one, with the rate of speed increasing as I turned my head, but not so fast that it would cause tearing or stuttering within the sim. I don't want it too fast. For my up and down view, again I wanted to turn my head about 40 degrees up or down and achieve something close to 90 degrees in both cases. Being in sim, most of my view is 45 degrees left or right, up or down. Let's now take a look at the configuration options available. You'll find it easier to expand this section of the display. Makes it easier to see. At the top you've got the information regarding what version of TRACKIR you're using for the camera, and an option to select TrackClip or TrackClip Pro. I'm using the Pro. Next to that you've got 2 options for motion control, and these are the 2 most important settings in the whole configuration: speed and smoothness. I have my speed set to 0.5 and smoothness to maximum at 50. Speed in effect is the difference between your view and the camera view. The higher the figure, the bigger the differential. Pay attention to the right hand side of the screen. Speed is currently 0.5. My camera view is roughly 25 degrees. Watch what happens when I turn it up to 5, the maximum. The camera view has changed from 25 degrees to roughly 65. So the higher you go on speed, the faster the camera will change direction. Because this is a flight simulator, I don't need rapid change of direction. If it was a first-person shooter, well, it probably wants something a bit snappier. Turning our attention to the graph view, note the response curve come right down as I turn it back down again. The response curves have points on, and they can be individually adjusted to suit you if you want. In my personal settings, I've left all the response curves at default. You are able to view and adjust any of the response curves for all 6 degrees of movement, including leaning and forward and backwards, which is effectively zoom. Alternatively, you can choose one of the preset templates for each of the axes. Default for all is 1:1. In my case, I've left them all at 1:1. I find this worked just fine for me. You can also select how many axes are affected by any adjustments, all of them or just those selected. I'm using a custom save profile, which I've created myself, MSFS1. By ticking the exclusive box, this means only this profile will be used, and as I only use it for flight sim, it suits me best. The hotkeys function is an important one. To center your display, something you'll do quite often is F12. If that key doesn't suit you, well, you can redefine it. There's also pause, which will stop TRACKIR functioning. By default, that's F9, a very useful function. Precision is F7, and what precision does is slows everything down. The amount of movement is restricted considerably, useful if trying to turn a knob in heavy turbulence whilst in the cockpit. The last option is profile, and default is the F8 key, and I think that function's fairly self-explanatory. To save your own profile, just hit the plus icon, to delete the minus, and to save the save icon. Simple, straightforward. Next to Profiles is the Titles tab, and this is simply a list of all the supported games and applications for TRACKIR. From what I can see, all of them will use the default profile unless specified otherwise. And the last tab is the Camera tab. Again, I've left this at default, but various parameters can be changed, including camera rotation, if you don't want to put it on top of the monitor. Perhaps you want to attach it to the side, for example. Just note there's no bracket for that supplied with the unit. If you do find it operating erratically, you may want to look at the light filter threshold as well. There are a few features and functions I haven't covered, but I've covered all the main ones. And it may sound fairly complicated, but in reality I didn't find that to be the case. I took the default profile, set my speed to 0.5, smoothness all the way up, and basically I'm done. I use the F12 function key to recenter my view and the F9 key to pause when I need to. And that's basically it. You can import other people's profiles, and I'm sure there's many really good ones out there already, but I won't cover that in this video. One of the easiest ways to test is go to your hangar, hit the yoke icon, and you're in the cockpit. You can now test the profile that you've made. And of course you can do this in any aircraft that you choose, be it an airliner or your favorite GA. We can now test out if the movement is smooth enough, that it's not creating stutters, there's no tearing. If not happy, well, it's a simple case of going back, changing the parameters and testing again. One very important point I do need to note is that you must have TRACKIR running before you enter the sim. If you try and start TRACKIR and the sim's already running, it won't work. I have my TRACKIR set up to minimize to the taskbar, and then I start the sim. You can see here how well the zoom is working. It's perfect. Well, following World Update 9, and we now have an enhanced Italy and Malta, where better to give it a test than the island of Elba. I'm in Trent Palmer's Kitfox. It's a payware aircraft available from Parallel 42. And once again I can test my views, make sure it's smooth enough. Before we take off I better just check my fuel levels. Left tank's okay, now let's check the right tank. Yep, that's looking alright. Looks like I'm clear for takeoff, nothing behind me. So once you've set your views, you can take something for a spin and see how it suits you. Once again, if not ideal, you can always make changes. But to be honest, this just feels natural. It's far more immersive and I feel as if I'm actually in the cockpit. I'm more spatially aware and I feel it helps me with my depth perception as well, particularly useful on takeoff and landings. Occasionally you may notice a tiny little bit of lag, but it's not significant. And as far as I can tell, no negative impact on FPS. TRACKIR, highly recommended. I mentioned there's other things on the market that do a similar thing. Let's take a quick look at some of those now. There's the freeware OpenTrack software, and it supports a wide range of different input devices. And it's got some favorable reviews on YouTube. I have tried it. I find it a bit finicky to set up, but it does work and may be worth a look. Competitively priced and receiving quite a bit of airtime recently is Tobii eye tracking. They had a bit of a rocky start, but they're constantly updating their software and quite a number of favorable reviews on YouTube. If you're looking for one, check out Q8 Pilot's review of Tobii eye tracking. I can't give you an opinion as I haven't tried it. Also available and very competitively priced, considerably less expensive than TRACKIR, is the Dynaclip. Again, I can't attest to how good, bad or ugly it is, as I haven't tried it. YouTuber Hudson has done a review on this, and I'll leave a link to that video as well as Q8 Pilot's review in the description below the video. Those are just a few of a considerable number available in the marketplace right now. If you've had a good experience with one, please comment below for the benefit of other users. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this useful and informative. Happy flying, keep the blue side up. Stay well, look after yourselves. I'll see you all again very soon, and bye for now.